Hi guys, this is Pratishtha, your IELTS tutor, and in this session we will review the complete IELTS test. So we will just go through the first section of each test. This is just like a review of what we have done previously before. And I would just give you a course introduction on what we are supposed to do this time. But essentially, we'll take a look at all the 5 things we did, which was grammar, reading, writing, listening, and speaking a little bit. So, with that being said, we'll just discuss it. We will not essentially go and dive deep into it, but just like a casual brainstorming, I would say. So, let me share screen. So, introduction to IELTS review and practice. This is week 5. Um, and in this one, we are going to review the key concept and strategies which we covered during week 5. We'll practice important skills for listening, reading, writing, speaking, which essentially you know by now is finding your key terms and basically writing summaries, paraphrasing, right? All of those things. We will also try to address any areas of difficulty. And if you need any additional support, or if I feel I have some additional tips or ideas that I can probably share, we would do that. Also, we would try to work on improving the overall IELTS performance. And we will do some targeted exercises as well, meaning that we will do some grammar, we will do some listening, reading, writing, and speaking. We'll mainly brainstorm on our speaking topics, right? Just so that you have an idea of what can you get. So we will do, again, all these things. As for grammar, if you remember conjunctions, right? We have a couple of grammar activities here. So if you remember, we did some conjunctions, we did basic what are nouns, pronouns, verbs, all those stuff. So for example, this was one of it. Complete the following sentences using appropriate conjunctions, although, because, while, however, etc. For first one, dash, it was raining, we decided to go for a walk. So it would be although. She studied hard for the exam. She studied she studied hard for the exam, but she did not pass. We can use but. We can also use however here. And then write 2 complex sentences using clauses and conjunctions to connect the ideas. So we can make it with while. While it rained, she stayed inside to complete the house chores. Now, again, this is a little advanced sentence. You can make a simpler one, but just try practicing making more advanced. Then you can say, not only is she intelligent, but also very active. This could be another. So here the conjunction is not only and but also, right? And that is pretty much it about the grammar. Then we have some listening skills. For listening, we can, let me open a test sheet, right? So we can revise from that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. And we will go ahead and do a test paper. So again, we will not do a complete test. We will just focus on, a little bit, like one activity each. So let's start with, let me see. Let's start with the section 4 of listening, right? I am just going to share my screen here. At this one, right? So this is the IELTS section 4 listening test 1. I will play the audio. Make sure that everything is working.
Section 4. You will hear a lecturer's introduction to a geography module. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
So we will focus here on the effects of different processes on the dash of Earth, the dynamic between dash and the population, two main branches of study. So we'll talk about that majorly. Then we have human lifestyle and there. So focus on two main branches of study. Specific study areas, we will focus on this part. Key points, again, what do geographers do? So they would find data and analyze data. So something related to this. Then we also have, we'll focus on maps, but towards the end, aerial photos, okay, can show vegetation problem, dash, ocean floors, etc. Landsat pictures sent to receiving stations used for monitoring dash conditions. So the kind of conditions, right?
And answer questions 31 to 40. So, welcome to your introductory geography lecture. We'll begin with some basics. Firstly, what do we learn by studying geography? Well, we learn a great deal about all the processes that have affected and that continue to affect the Earth's surface. But we learn far more than that, because studying geography also informs us about the different kinds of relationships that develop between a particular environment and the people that live there. Okay, we like to think of geography as having two main branches. There's the study of the nature of our planet, its physical features, what it actually looks like, and then there's the study of the ways in which we choose to live and of the impact of those on our planet. Our current use of carbon fuels is a good example of that. But there are more specific study areas to consider too, and we'll be looking at each of these in turn throughout the semester. These include biophysical geography, by which I mean the study of the natural environment and all its living things. Then there's topography. That looks at the shapes of the land and oceans. There's the study of political geography and social geography too, of course, which is the study of communities of people. We have economic geography, in which we examine all kinds of resources and their use, agriculture, for example. Next comes historical geography, the understanding of how people and their environments and the ways they interact have changed over a period of time. And urban geography, an aspect I'm particularly interested in, which takes as its focus the location of cities, the services that those cities provide, and migration of people to and from such cities. And lastly, we have cartography. That's the art and science of map making. You'll be doing a lot of that. So, to summarise before we continue, we now have our key answer. Studying this subject is important because without geographical knowledge, we would know very little about our surroundings and we wouldn't be able to identify all the problems that relate to them. So, by definition, we wouldn't be in an informed position to work out how to solve any of them.
Now we can stop here, take a pause.
Okay, now for some practicalities. What do geographers actually do? Well, we collect data to begin with. You'll be doing a lot of that on your first field trip. How do we do this? There are several means. We might, for example, conduct a census, count a population in a given area perhaps. We also need images of the Earth's surface, which we can produce by means of computer generation technology or with the help of satellite relays. We've come a very long way from the early exploration of the world by sailing ships, when geographers only had pens and paper at their disposal. After we've gathered our information, we must analyse it. We need to look for patterns, most commonly those of causes and consequences. This kind of information helps us to predict and resolve problems that could affect the world we live in. But we don't keep all this information confidential. We then need to publish our findings so that other people can access it and be informed by it. And one way in which this information can be published is in the form of maps. You'll all have used one at some stage of your life already. Let's consider the benefits of maps from a geographer's perspective. Maps can be folded and put in a pocket and can provide a great store of reference when they're collected into an atlas. They can depict the physical features of the entire planet if necessary, or just a small part of it in much greater detail. But there is a drawback. You can't exactly replicate something that is three-dimensional, like our planet, on a flat piece of paper, because paper has only two dimensions. And that means there'll always be a certain degree of distortion on a map. It can't be avoided. We can also use aerial photographs, pictures taken by cameras at high altitude above the Earth. These are great for showing all kinds of geographical features that are not easy to see from the ground. You can easily illustrate areas of diseased trees, or how much traffic is on the roads at a given time, or information about deep seabeds, for example. Then there are Landsats. These are satellites that circle the Earth and transmit visual information to computers at receiving stations. They circle the Earth several times a day and can provide a massive information. You'll all be familiar with the information they give us about the weather, for example. So what we're going to do now is look at a short presentation in which you'll see all...
So that's pretty much it about the fourth part. Fourth one is the most difficult because it will not give you direct answers. It is pretty intimidating like that. But you need to understand the whole audio, right? You need to understand. It's not like direct answers. It never said like, this part, it did not, I didn't even know when they said it, right? But you have to listen to it very carefully. So first one, part one will give you a little bit direct answers and it will start reducing until you get to fourth part where the audio is pretty simple. You can understand what she's saying. But it's not fast either, right? It's not fast. It's not like a super tough audio, but it's just that the questions are made in the form which are tough, right? So you have to figure out by practicing a lot, I would say. Now, let's do the next reading, telepathy. So we will just do 2-3 paragraphs and we will summarize them. So can human beings, so first of all, what is telepathy? Telepathy is communicating without using words, right? It's from the mind. So can human beings communicate by thought alone? For more than a century, the issue of telepathy has divided the scientific community, and even today, it still sparks bitter controversy among top academics. Since 1970s, parapsychologists at leading universities and research institutes around the world have risked the derision of skeptical colleagues by putting the various claims for telepathy to test in dozens of rigorous scientific studies. Don't go into deep, it just says that they have conducted some studies since 1970s. The result and their implications are dividing even the researchers who covered them. So the research is not focused, right? It's not like exact, it's still divided. People are divided. Some researchers say the result constitute compelling evidence that telepathy is genuine. Others says that the field is on the brink of collapse, means it's going to not exist further. They have tried to produce definitive scientific proof but have failed. Skeptics and advocates alike do concur on one issue, however, that most impression evidence so far has come from the so-called Ganzfeld experiment. So some sort of experiment that they have done, which means whole field. Reports of telepathic experiences had by people during meditation led parapsychologists to suspect that telepathy might involve signal passing between people. So this is the experiment that were so faint that they were usually swamped by normal brain activity. It means that brain gives signal during meditation, but it is usually swamped by day-to-day thinking. Such signals might be more easily detected by those experiencing meditation-like tranquility in a relaxing whole field of light, sound, and warmth. So again, you need to create a particular atmosphere for it. Your mind needs to be really calm for it, right? And that is pretty much it. You can now sort of summarize it because I have not gotten into details. I have just picked up the important information. And if I have to give I would say a summary of what's going on. I would just say that there has been a conflict. If there is telepathy or there is not telepathy, there has been like mixed signals from both the side. Some people believe in it, some people do not. And then it also talks about that meditation, like surroundings around you, would really help you, would really help. Um, what can we say? Would really help, can have telepathic things, but you need to create an environment for that. And that is how it's a small summary. I'm not going into details for now, right? Um, that's pretty much it. We will not go into details. Just like this, you need to go through the complete passage and solve the questions. For writing task 1, you will look at both these things, both the charts. You would say causes of worldwide land degradation, right? So in the it's a cause that why is land degradation happening. 30% because of deforestation, 28% because of overcultivation, 35% because of overgrazing by kettles, and 7% is over. Now it is the locations where is this kind of degradation happening. So North America, by deforestation, it's 0.2, overcultivation 3.3, overgrazing 1.5, total land that has degraded is 5%. Europe, again, percentages are given, total percentage 23. Total percentage is 23. And in Oceania, it's 13%, right? So that is something, those are your stats. You just have to write, you just have to talk about the first pictorial representation is of the different causes by percentage, while the second picture represents the causes of land degradation by region. So which region has how much total land degradation and through what causes out of it. So that's what you have to explain. Writing task 2 is some people think that parents should teach children how to be good members of society. Others believe that school is the place. So you have to discuss both the views because it's given here. And then in the third body paragraph, give your own opinion. What do you think? You cannot choose both. You have to give one, right? So first body paragraph, after writing introduction, that many people think that this happened, some people think that this happened, and it is a very conflicted topic. But I have a view that it should be taught at home, for example. So you can give first body paragraph. You can talk about how home is a place where children learn the most by giving examples. Second, some people also believe that school is the place because most of the day children are spending in school, right? So you can talk about that. And then in the third paragraph, you can say, however, in my opinion, I feel that children learn more at home because they are closest to their family members during vacations, and they do a lot of activities which are better, and family is something that's constant, right? So they learn and mimic their family members the most, and that is how they learn, right? I mean, just you have to give that. And then in conclusion, you would just say that in conclusion, while children also learn at school and children also learn at home, it's pretty divided to learn good manners at both the places because that shapes the overall personality, right? So you can just say that. And that's pretty much it. Then you have speaking topics. I think speaking we discussed last time as well. It's pretty general about next door neighbors, about some sort of books, maybe it can ask you about. Then when you were asked about a survey or a question, you have to describe the time. So part 2 is more of descriptive. Part 1 is more of general questioning. Part 3 is, I would say, asking question again. So it's divided into 3 different parts, right? And again, it just needs a little bit of practice, a little bit more of tests, a little bit more of samples. This one in particular, I think we did. No, we did not. But in future lessons, we will go through probably this sort of speaking test as well. Right now, because it's just a review, we are just reviewing what kind of questions can come, how you can respond to them, because that is something that we learned in the previous week as well, right? So what you can do is probably take a snap of this part, prepare something of your own, either record yourself or discuss it with your friend, and go about from there. So this is all the 4 and 5 parts of the IELTS that you will get. For this lesson, this particular video, we have just reviewed it. It's just a general review of what we have done. We have taken a look at different parts and areas of IELTS test as well. And that's pretty much it for today for the review. I think it's enough. We will not go into details again. But I will see you in the next video, hopefully with a little bit more advanced tactics. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So see you in the next video.